Soccer Nation, welcome to Soccer Queen USA. A nation of 500,000 people just walked into the FIFA World Cup on their debut and stopped the reigning European champions dead in their tracks. Spain, 27 shots, 74% possession. Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Nico Williams, Dani Olmo, and they couldn't score. Not once. Not against a team ranked 64th in the world. Not against a goalkeeper who is 40 years old. Spain had 27 shots compared to just 6 for Cape Verde, but none of the 7 they managed on target could find a way past the inspired Vozinha. Think about that for a second. The most technically gifted squad in world soccer, a team built to dominate every single opponent, humiliated, neutralized, embarrassed on the grandest stage of all. And here's the question every soccer fan on the planet is asking right now. Was this the upset of... Welcome back. If you're new here, this is Soccer Queen USA. We don't do highlights pack, kages. We don't do safe takes. We break down the game the way it actually happened. Now, let's set the scene properly, because this result needs context. It needs weight. It needs you to fully understand just how seismic what happened in Atlanta today truly is. Cape Verde entered Monday's match against Spain as a 28-1 underdog. Worse odds than Saudi Arabia had before their famous 2-1 win over Argentina at the 2022 World Cup. Only 2% of bets at BetMGM were placed on the draw. 2%. That tells you everything about what the world expected. This was supposed to be a warm-up, a confidence booster, a statement win for La Roja before the hard games came. Instead, a nation of just over 500,000 people held out against Luis de la Fuente's star-studded team, recording a result which will reverberate around planet soccer. This is Cape Verde's first ever World Cup. First game, first opponent. And they pick Spain, the reigning European champions, a squad loaded with Ballon d'Or contenders. And they don't just survive, they suffocate them. Spain increased pressure after halftime in search of a winning goal, spending long stretches camped inside Cape Verde's half. But the breakthrough never arrived, as the tournament debutantes continued to defend with discipline and determination. De la Fuente threw on Yamal, Williams, Olmo, Marino in desperation. It didn't matter. The Blue Sharks held firm. So today I'm going to cover 3 things. 1. Why Cape Verde's defensive masterclass was one of the greatest tactical performances in World Cup history. 2. Why Spain's attacking display was nothing short of a crisis, and the numbers prove it. 3. What this result actually means for Group H, and my hot take on whether Spain can still win this World Cup. Let's get into it. Point 1. Cape Verde's defensive masterclass was not luck, it was genius. Let's get one thing straight immediately. People are going to watch that scoreline and say Cape Verde got lucky. They're going to say Spain just had a bad day. They're going to dismiss this as a fluke. That is completely wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why. Cape Verde were superbly organized from back to front. While Spain predictably enjoyed the lion's share of possession, they were frustrated for large periods by their spirited and fiercely determined opponents. This wasn't chaos defending. This wasn't hoofing it clear and hoping for the best. This was a structured, disciplined, tactically intelligent defensive system, executed almost perfectly for 90 minutes. FIFA. Coach Bubista set his side up in a deep double block. 2 compact lines of 4. Narrow, disciplined, no gaps between the lines. Every time Spain tried to play through the middle, blocked. Every time they tried to switch the ball wide, Cape Verde shifted across in unison. Bubista's team defense remained brilliant, cutting off every chance. You don't do that by accident. You do that with hours and hours of preparation, with players who understand their roles absolutely perfectly, and with a collective belief that they genuinely could pull this off. And here's the thing most people miss. Cape Verde weren't just defending, they were dangerous on the counter. Cape Verde had their own moments as they broke forward, but they lacked the quality required in the final third. They were actually threatening. Spain's defenders weren't completely comfortable. There were moments where the Blue Sharks broke quickly and had numbers forward. Had their forwards been more clinical in those transitions, we might be talking about one of the greatest World Cup victories of all time. Not just a draw, a win. Now, let me challenge the mainstream opinion here, because this needs to be said. Everyone is talking about Vozinha, and yes, we'll get to him. But the real story isn't the goalkeeper. The real story is the team shape. Vozinha could not have made those saves without his defenders funneling Spain's attackers into predictable shooting positions. The saves look heroic in isolation, but they were the product of a system that forced Spain into long-range efforts and low-percentage shots. That's coaching. That's organization. That's a team that prepared better than their opponents expected. The man of the match was Cape Verde's 40-year-old goalkeeper Vozinha, whose performance and crucial saves helped secure the historic draw. 40 years old, at a World Cup, on debut, making fingertip saves against Pedri, Torres, Oyarzabal. That man deserves every single word of praise he gets. But don't let his heroics blind you to the bigger tactical picture. Cape Verde won this as a team. Full stop. Point 2. Spain's attack wasn't just ineffective, it was broken. Now let's talk about the other side of this. Because Spain didn't just run into a great performance. Spain were bad. Genuinely, worryingly bad in the final third. And that is a massive problem for a team that wants to win this World Cup. Torres missed an absolute sitter in the first half, while Mikel Oyarzabal once again failed to convince as Spain's striker. And it wasn't close misses. Ferran Torres struck the crossbar from point-blank range after a headed pass from Marc Cucurella. Point-blank, 6 yards out, crossbar. Against a team ranked 64th in the world. That is not bad luck. That is a striker in terrible form starting a World Cup game he had no business starting. Ferran Torres, Gavi, and Mikel Oyarzabal were among Spain's biggest disappointments on the day, as the attacking trio struggled to make an impact despite having 74% possession. 74% possession. Let that sink in. Nearly 3/4 of the ball, and they couldn't score. Against a team playing their first ever World Cup game. Here's where I challenge the mainstream opinion again, because everyone is blaming the system. Saying Spain's tiki-taka style just doesn't work against deep blocks. And yes, there's truth in that. But the deeper problem is personnel. Spain's lack of a proper number 9 really is a problem. There is no genuine center forward in this squad who commands the box, who holds the ball up, who makes defenders genuinely afraid. Oyarzabal is a talented soccer, but he is not a World Cup winning number 9, and today proved it beyond any reasonable argument. Cucurella was easily Spain's most dangerous attacking outlet, creating 2 great chances for Ferran Torres, both of which should have been converted. Your left back, creating your best chances. That tells you everything about where Spain's attack currently stands. This isn't a one-game problem. This is a structural crisis, and it showed today for the entire world to see. Point 3. This result has blown Group H wide open, and Spain are in serious trouble. Before this game kicked off, Group H looked like a formality for Spain. Cape Verde on debut, Saudi Arabia, who flooped their way past Argentina 4 years ago, Uruguay, dangerous but aging. Most pundits had Spain cruising through as group winners with 9 points. Easy, comfortable, done. That narrative is completely dead now. Both teams are part of what should be a competitive Group H that also features Uruguay and Saudi Arabia. Uruguay under Marcelo Bielsa are not a team you want to face when you're already on the back foot psychologically. Saudi Arabia, the same Saudi Arabia that beat Argentina in Qatar, will now look at Spain and smell blood. They will watch this tape. They will see Ferran Torres hitting crossbars from 6 yards. They will see Gavi invisible in midfield. And they will believe they can do something in this group. And Cape Verde? Let's talk about what this point means for them. A point against the 2010 World Cup winners will go down as the greatest moment in their history. But it's more than a moment. It's a platform. They now face Uruguay and Saudi Arabia knowing they can defend, knowing their system works, knowing Vozinha can perform on the biggest stage. A team that came here just hoping to survive is now genuinely dreaming of the knockout rounds. Spain, on the other hand, face a psychological mountain. Coach Luis de la Fuente had declared his team must have a win-win-win approach and leave nothing to chance. He said those words before a ball was kicked. Now he has 1 point from the opening game. The pressure that comes with the next match against Saudi Arabia is enormous. One more slip and this entire World Cup campaign could unravel embarrassingly fast. And here's what nobody wants to say. De la Fuente is going to be absolutely slated for this shameful showing. And rightly so. Spain didn't play with anything like the required intensity, and the decision to start Gavi was absurd in the circumstances. Starting Gavi, still clearly not at his sharpest, over keeping Lamine Yamal from the first whistle was a tactical error that cost Spain dearly. You have the best young player on the planet, a player who changes games the moment he touches the ball, and you bring him on in the 79th minute when you're chasing a draw? Against Cape Verde, at a World Cup. That is a coaching failure. Plain and simple. All right, here it is, my verdict. No sitting on the fence. No, it could go either way. This is what I genuinely believe. Spain will not win the 2026 World Cup. And today was the moment that proved it. I know. One game. Early days. Plenty of time to recover. I've heard all of it. But hear me out, because this isn't a knee-jerk reaction. This is pattern recognition. Spain have a goalkeeper problem. Unai Simon has never truly convinced at the highest level. They have a striker problem. There is no world-class number 9 in this squad. And today revealed a third problem that is perhaps the most dangerous of all. They have a dependency problem. When Lamine Yamal is not on the pitch for minute 1, this team does not know how to break down a low block. At all. The teams that win World Cups are ruthless. Germany 2014, France 2018, Argentina 2022. They punish teams like Cape Verde by halftime and save their legs for the battles that matter. Spain had 27 shots and scored 0. Against debutantes. That is not the profile of a World Cup winner. Yamal needs to start every single remaining game. Oyarzabal needs to be dropped. And De La Fuente needs to fundamentally rethink his approach before this tournament gets away from Spain completely. Because right now, the European champions are wobbling, and the Wolves can smell it. Right, let's bring this home. 3 points, sharp and clean. 1. Cape Verde's defensive masterclass was not luck. It was a tactically brilliant, meticulously organized performance that deserves to be studied and celebrated. Bubista set up his team perfectly, and Vozinha, a 40-year-old goalkeeper on the grandest stage of his life, delivered one of the great individual World Cup performances in recent memory. A nation of just over 500,000 people held out against one of the most star-studded squads in world soccer and recorded a result that will reverberate around planet soccer. That is not a fluke. That is soccer at its most beautiful. 2. Spain's attack is broken. Not struggling, not misfiring, broken. 27 shots, 7 on target, and none of them found a way past Vozinha. Ferran Torres hitting a crossbar from 6 yards, Oyarzabal invisible as a striker, Gavi a ghost in midfield, and the best player in the squad, Lamine Yamal, not trusted to start. This is a structural crisis wearing a European Championship badge. The problems are deep and they are real. 3. Group H is now wide open, and Spain are in genuine danger. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay will watch this tape on repeat. Cape Verde will dare to dream of the knockouts, and Spain face the very real possibility that one more bad result sends them into a spiral this squad may not have the mentality to escape. My final verdict? Even bolder than before. This was not just a bad day for Spain. This was an exposure. The world saw today that without Yamal from minute 1, without a proper striker, and without defensive solidity from their goalkeeper, Spain are beatable. Genuinely beatable. By good teams organized well. And in a World Cup where every knockout game is a final, that vulnerability could cost them everything. Cape Verde, on the other hand, just wrote the opening chapter of what could be the greatest underdog story in World Cup history. The 2026 World Cup has seen some surprising results, but nothing more shocking than debutante Cape Verde holding Spain, one of the favorites to win it all, to a 0-0 draw. And I, for one, will be watching every single one of their remaining games. Now, here's the debate I want to see in the comments today. And I want real answers, not just emojis. Should Lamine Yamal start Spain's next game against Saudi Arabia from minute 1, even if De La Fuente risks aggravating his hamstring injury? That is the decision that could define Spain's entire tournament. Get it wrong, and they could be going home earlier than anyone imagined. Drop your answer below. Let's get into it. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? We do this after every big game, every result, every moment that matters. Hit subscribe and you won't miss a single one. The 2026 World Cup is just getting started, and trust me, it is going to be wild.